The government shutdown is now rippling into air traffic control towers in Newark, in Denver, and in Phoenix. Long delays due to staffing yesterday, according to the FAA. In Burbank, the air traffic control tower left completely unmanned overnight for roughly 6 hours.
We are seeing air traffic control staffing issues now several days in a row, often in places that don't typically have staffing issues, like here in Phoenix that saw about 250 delays coming in and out of this airport yesterday. And in California, one major airport tower went to ATC 0.
Breaking news right now at O'Hare, where the ongoing government shutdown could lead to flight delays. The Federal Aviation Administration says O'Hare has been hit by staffing shortages with air traffic control facilities and towers. And there could be delays due to those staffing shortages this evening. Controllers are considered essential workers, so they must work during the shutdown, but they're not getting paid.
TSA is not your only concern when it comes to travel. Okay? It's the air traffic controllers. You see, I'm keeping my feet on the ground until this shutdown is over. Because if there's not enough air traffic controllers, oh, you won't see me in the sky. That's it. That's all.
They announced Chicago O'Hare Airport, all flights will be canceled. They don't have enough crew for the air traffic controller. We're seeing this in California, Nashville, Chicago. It's spreading fast. It might just become a nightmare to travel for the next couple of weeks, if not longer, as long as the lockdown, or I should say shutdown of the government continues. These people, even though they would get, back pay, don't want to be working working without a paycheck. I wouldn't want to work without a paycheck.
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. And right now, you can save £50 per person. That's £200 off for a family of 4.
What the fuck do you mean the government shutdown is canceling every single flight? Yes, there's been over a week since the government has shut down, and as a result, traveling in America might fully disappear. So this just came in because the workers who manage the air traffic control are just completely understaffed. I'm talking over 75% of the people who would normally work with flight have either quit their jobs or are just not getting paid. And as a result, there has been over 12 air traffic offices who've had to submit complaints due to being completely understaffed.
Planes are taking off and landing with no air traffic controllers. Let that sink in. So on Monday, multiple airports in America reported shortages of air traffic controllers due to the government shutdown. Hollywood Burbank Airport in California, Denver International, and Newark Liberty in New Jersey, they all had delays due to having a shortage of air traffic controllers. Oh, but that ain't the wildest part. At Hollywood Burbank Airport, from 4:15 p.m. to 10 p.m., they had 0 air traffic controllers. None. And the planes were still moving. Pilots were literally talking to each other. Hey, you good? That's not how it's supposed to work. And it's not just a one-off. So the Department of Transportation says about 11,000 of their employees, about a quarter of their workforce, could be furloughed under the contingency plan. And while 13,000 air traffic controllers are expected to keep working, they will not be paid. So explain to me how the safety of Americans on these planes are supposed to be guaranteed when the air traffic controllers are forced to come to work and aren't getting paid. You don't know how long the shutdown's going to happen, and Trump is even talking about not paying employees any back pay. This is where we are because Republicans won't negotiate. So my question is, y'all tired of winning yet?
What's up, America? Not enough air traffic controllers. Flights are being delayed. Some airports shut down. So it's now being reported that there's not enough air traffic controllers to fill the control towers at airports nationwide. Burbank Airport is actually shut down in California because there's no air traffic controllers, and Gavin Newsom is talking shit. But it's not just Burbank Airport. It's nationwide. So at Burbank Airport, pilots are reportedly getting a message that says, quote, the tower is closed due to staffing. So far, 12 FAA facilities have seen staffing shortages.
Trump was asked in the White House today, what are his thoughts on the airport delays while the government is shut down? And his response was, well, they're all Democrat delays. What does that mean?
Alright, have you been anywhere near an airport in the US lately? If so, you already know. It's actually a mess because we're talking about long lines at the security line queues, flight cancellation left, right, and center, pilots actually timing out, families possibly sleeping at the terminal floors, and now entire air traffic controller towers are going dark. Yeah, and the wild part is, it's not even about some freak weather event or even a cyber attack. It's the government shutting down again, leaving people who actually keep the planes in the sky to actually figure it out on their own with no pay, no plan, and no end in sight. Now, I want you to actually think about it for a second, because folks who actually keep these airports running, guiding aircrafts in the skies are now being asked to actually work for free. Can you believe that? TSA agents who actually screen millions and millions of travelers are being actually asked to show up without pay, all because the government actually shut down because of some healthcare debate between the Republicans and the Dems. Now, this is actually reportedly causing air travel to actually collapse in the US, but I want us to take a look at these videos that I've stitched for us to check out and react on today. Let me know in the comments what you think about today's episode. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. It really helps with pushing this video to a wider audience when you click that like button and leave a comment. Let's take a look. I'll be back with more commentary after this.
Air travel in the U.S. is only continuing to get worse as part of the government shutdown. If you're traveling today, October 8th, share, repost, like, because we are already getting reports out of Atlanta that there are significant delays due to shortages in air traffic controllers. And the FAA has even put out an announcement. The FAA has already reported shortages at Nashville, which saw a ground stop yesterday, Boston, Dallas, Chicago, and Philadelphia. This morning, we're getting reports out of Atlanta that they are seeing significant delays as well. It doesn't stop there, because The Hill is reporting through the National Airspace System Status Summary, which is publicly available information, that we could be seeing ground stops at major airports and hubs across the country today. Some of the airports at risk include Reagan National Airport, Philadelphia, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, San Francisco, LaGuardia, Newark, Boston, Logan. They could all experience ground stops today because of shortages and the lack of air traffic controllers due to the government shutdown.
Now Atlanta airport has been shut down, and if you know, you know. That's one of the biggest airports in the nation. And how many flight delays is that going to create nationwide? Are we going to get a nationwide airport shutdown? I mean, I wish somebody would tell us. Just fucking say it already.
What the fuck is going on? You mean to tell me airports are having staff shortages for air traffic controllers because they're not getting paid because the government is shut down? So it's really not safe. If you're from Denver, Phoenix, New York, it's not safe to travel right now. A lot of people ain't talking about this. This country, day by day, is going down the fucking drain. I'm gonna tell you that. Why? Because if you don't look, stuff that we usually do is getting shut down. Like, it's not safe to travel. Motherfuckers don't got air traffic controllers for the planes. You don't believe me? You can go look this up. You understand that the plane gets guided by an air traffic controller? They let you know like what other planes are out there. They let you know where to land and how to land. And with the government being shut down, motherfuckers ain't getting paid, so they calling in. It's a whole uptick of sick days. Yeah, because nobody's going to work for free. Like, this country is going down fast.
Why don't air traffic controllers just strike during this government shutdown? Well, for one reason, the Taft-Hartley Act of 1947 forbids or makes it illegal for U.S. government employees to organize and strike. That's why in 1981, Reagan fired all the controllers who were striking. And the void that was left by all of those controllers no longer working was supervisors, trainees, and yes, some military people had to fill in the gaps. It's not like you can just pick up a tower controller from Andrews Air Force Base and drop them at O'Hare. There's extensive training that's involved with this. In the 80s, it was somewhat feasible because airlines cut their schedules and there's only like 5 million yearly flights. Whereas now, getting an airline to cut their schedule would probably be impossible. And there's 16.8 million flights. carrying up to 1.1 billion passengers a year. And in the US, there are no military controllers that would be able to work en route airspace either, at least not quickly. So you're going to be delayed anyway in implementing that, even if you do fill in military controllers, which you're not going to because controllers can't strike. Thus, you don't have to worry about it. And the military controllers aren't getting paid either. Unpaid air traffic control is one of the whole reasons we're having this conversation to begin with.
This government shutdown is really stressing me out because what do you mean there were no air traffic controllers yesterday at Burbank Airport? And what do you mean that there was a leaked memo that Trump said that furloughed employees, they're going to try not to pay them? And once government employees hear that, what are they going to do? What do you mean that the U.S. military is not getting paid? But read it, look this up. The Israeli military is still getting money from us during the shutdown. $16 billion in aid. I understand that government shutdowns happen regularly, but this government shutdown doesn't seem to have a path forward for it to be ended. And that does seem to be the point of this administration. 45% of the Department of Health and Human Services workers are going to be furloughed, which means Trump is saying that 45% of people in just this one department may just never get paid during this time period. And then a lot of people that are working for the government, like air traffic controllers, since they're not getting paid, they are living paycheck to paycheck, and they need to then just work Uber or Lyft or something just to survive right now. And there's so many much smarter people than me that are talking about all these things. But just as a regular citizen who I'm traveling in 2 weeks, and with the travel holidays coming up, I don't know, this. I have indigestion. Y'all have indigestion? I have indigestion every morning when I wake up.
I personally think it's a smart idea for air traffic controllers and TSA agents to not show up for work. Now, at the same time, I think that requires a level of community effort to get behind it. And what could that look like? For me, the nearest airport is National. Y'all know it as Reagan in Washington, D.C. If you live in D.C., Maryland, or in Northern Virginia, and you decided that you weren't going to work as a group, I would personally organize to ensure that y'all kids got to school, get together with community members to make sure that y'all eat 3 meals a day with some snacks in between, and provide the community support that is needed to continue to uplift you. And that's the secondary piece that's necessary. When we are asking people to put anything on the line, we should be prepared to back them up and support them by any means necessary.
So now they're announcing they're going to shut down and do a ground stop at Chicago's O'Hare Airport because of shortage of staffing. They literally have no air traffic controllers. They're being forced to work without pay, so most of them are calling in sick. And now the airport has called a ground stop, I believe it's tomorrow, between 2 o'clock and 11 o'clock, where there will be no flights going in or out of one of the nation's largest airports. And this is all because of Mike Johnson and his government shutdown ordered by Trump because they don't want to release the files. And they want to make sure as many people as they can lose their jobs so they can call out whatever military order they're about to do. But yes, that's 2 airports in 2 days that have completely shut down. First Burbank, now O'Hare. Getting pretty hairy out there. Soon you won't be able to travel because all the airports will be shut down, and we've got military going to almost every blue big city.
The National Air Traffic Controllers Association is telling their members to stop taking sick. Air traffic controllers have started taking their sick days since the shutdown happened because they are essentially working for free. Very important to note, though, that air traffic controllers have been facing understaffing since way before the shutdown. This has been a pervasive, ongoing issue. Even when I worked in the White House under Biden, staffing for air traffic control towers, that's a mouthful, has always been an issue. But anyways, be worried about that flight, that trip. Those are concerns that you should really have, and you should think through canceled flights, missed flights. I mean, TSA agents are also essential workers, and if they stop showing up, be worried about getting through security. Honestly, though, imagine if all the air traffic controllers they were like, pencils down, we're not working anymore. Guarantee Dems and Republicans would come to the table on an agreement, because the ability to not get on a flight and leave missing engagements, weddings, birthdays. The girls' trip? Oh, yeah. They'd reach an agreement.
Alright folks, there you have it actually. Republicans have refused to negotiate and federal workers are paying the price. We really need to understand that this actually affects real people, real human beings, because here's what actually people don't get. When the government shuts down, it's not like a switch gets flipped and everything actually just stops working neatly. No, real people stop getting paid and they're still expected to show up. TSA agents, air traffic controllers, inspectors, all these folks that actually keep the country running are the ones to actually take the first hit and the direct hit. Now, we like to imagine a government shutdown as some kind of DC drama, some standoff between politicians, but the fallout actually hits real working class Americans. It hits people who can't actually just take a week off without pay, because this actually includes a lot of federal workers who depend on these paychecks to actually feed their families, pay rent, and survive. You can't just be told that the government shut down because Republicans do not want to negotiate about healthcare reforms and you're told to actually show up to work for no pay and just gladly do so. A lot of people are calling in sick. They are actually choosing to go do some Uber job, for instance. They're turning to Uber drivers because these people actually have bills. They cannot be working for free when they're expected to actually pay bills. How about this same government that is actually asking them to work for no pay goes ahead and talks to their landlords, for instance, for them to actually live rent free, goes ahead and talks to the grocery stores for them to shop for free, because yeah, you cannot expect people to come and show up for free without any back pay, and they're expected to actually pay rent, they're expected to pay their bills. They have a life that they have to live and they have bills and families to feed. That's exactly why a lot of these air traffic controllers, TSA agents are not showing up to work after the government actually shut down. And this in result is actually causing a lot of airports to be collapsing, especially because of a shortage in staffing. People are finding themselves in long queues at the airports, man, because of shortage of TSA agents. Aircrafts are having to actually resort to some common line to communicate, landing and taking off without air traffic controllers. And this should actually not happen because it's expected that these aircraft traffic are controlled by these aircraft traffic controllers, but they're not there, and a lot of airports are finding themselves understaffed. Now, there is this report that I came across about the American infrastructure actually being so fragile because these people are close to irreplaceable. It takes years to actually train air traffic controllers and TSA agents. These people are dealing with millions and millions of aircrafts that are carrying millions and millions of lives. You don't actually play with such people, so it takes years to actually be trained for such a job. And this government shutdown is actually exposing nothing but how fragile everything really is. You live in one of the richest nations on earth, but one political argument in DC and the whole air system collapses. Something built over decades starts to collapse in just days. That should actually teach you something and should show you something, because when the FAA can't train new air traffic controllers, when TSA starts calling out, and when the maintenance inspections get delayed, that's not political anymore. That actually is safety concerns. It's a reminder that for all the talk on strength, America being the greatest country on earth, the country actually runs on underpaid essential workers who actually hold everything together with grit and faith. And that faith actually has a limit. Let me know in the comments, guys, what do you think about today's episode? I'm your presenter, Joel Mogisha. If you're new, kindly consider subscribing, hit that like button. See you in the next episode.